Hello, this is Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. I am excited to be here and hope you are too. So tonight we are on week 4 of using our Layering Leaves stamp set, and we are going to actually do a fun fold tonight. If you're familiar with my Fun Fold Friday, you know how I really enjoy doing fun folds. So that is what we're going to do tonight. And I'd like to start by asking you to say hello if you're watching the video live or on a replay or on my YouTube channel. Let me know what you think. And as I said, this is our last week we're using the Layering Leaves stamp set. And let's start by reviewing what we have made over the past month. Can't believe we are going into September. It just blows my mind. So this was the first stamp set, the first card that we made. It was a Best Wishes card. We used every single one of the 2023-2025 in colors for this card. And we only used basic white cardstock, and we layered a quarter sheet of basic white cardstock onto the front of the card. And on the inside, we just left it blank so it could be for any occasion. We did a bonus card, week 1, showing the colors and the designer series paper from our July Simply Stamping Sundays, just to show you how we could use the stamp set with other supplies as well. And then on our second week, we did a technique where we attached with just a tiny bit of adhesive this piece of basic white cardstock onto the piece of basic white cardstock. And then we stamped our images, making sure we went off of that piece of basic white cardstock. And then we added the wild wheat layer, and you can see that great effect it has. We did a thank you, and we tapered the end to be a banner, and on this one we didn't. So we did 2 to just show you both of those options. Last week we used some of the colored cardstock from the 2023 to 2025 in color cardstock, and we used the copper clay and the Boho Blue. We stamped our images again on basic white. On this one I did Thinking of You and just did a funky end to that banner, and on this one I did a thank you so much and made a banner cut here. We also used some of the designer series paper, and we just stamped a little bit on the inside of the card as well. So tonight, as I said, we're going to do a fun fold, and we're going to do a monochromatic card, and we're just going to be using Boho Blue and basic white cardstock. So it's a hello card. You can see that I stamped my front panel, and when I open it up I have an inside panel and a different type of designer series paper. It's from the same package of designer series paper. Actually, they are back to back for this design. And when you close it, you can see that you won't see that inside panel that's underneath. We call this a Z fold. Let me just make sure I'm showing you this correctly so you can see this upside down Z here. So it's a very simple fold, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But as you can see, we're just going to be using Boho Blue ink tonight. So I'm going to set that aside so we can get started with our card, and then we're going to talk about what we're doing in the month of September. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go over the different dimensions of the cardstock that we're using and the paper that we're using. I did mention this in my reminder, these measurements, and I will also put it in the comment section below the video when I'm done with my Facebook Live. So we're going to start with just here a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. We do need to score this. And so I'm going to get out my paper cutter, and I'm going to be using the lighter gray blade to do my scoring. So I'm going to score this first at 2 1/8. So I'm just going to move to that spot and score that a couple of times. And then I'm going to also score it at 4 1/4, which is the halfway point. Okay, I can set that aside, but it's all ready for what we're going to need. You're going to need one piece of designer series paper. You can see that it's the same on both. I'm using the same paper, but using the two different designs. This measures 4 by 5 1/4, I believe. Yeah. And then I have two pieces that measure 2 by 5 1/4. I have two pieces of basic white and two pieces of Boho Blue that measure the same. So the white measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and the blue measures 3 by 4. Excuse me. And then I have a piece of the Boho Blue and the basic white. They are just a little different in measurements. The Boho Blue is 2 1/8 by 1 inch, and the basic white is 2 by 1 inch. Okay, I think what I'd like to do is start my stamping. So on this card, the stamping that we're going to be doing is I'm going to review two-step stamping and show you how I made these leaves here. And we're going to be stamping the hello, and then we're going to be stamping the inside panel as well. So let me get out my ink, set the card aside, get out my white panels that I am going to be stamping, and I'm going to move this stamp set out of the way so we have plenty of room to do our stamping. So I've already put my stamps onto my blocks. I'm going to open up that Boho Blue, and I'm going to ink up the hello, and I'm just going to come over this. Oops, I don't have it all inked up. Didn't do the stop. It's really important to always check that. And then I'm just going to stamp my hello, and here we have the beautiful hello for you. I'm going to set that aside. Then I'm going to do the inside panel first, and I'm going to be doing two things. I'm actually going to take this off of the block and show you the best way to line this up. So this is So Happy to Celebrate with You. I don't know if you can see that very well. And the font, the S is to the side for the top. So what I do is I line up on my grid paper the Happy to and Celebrate onto the grid paper. And then when I put that on the stamp, I know it's going to stamp the way I want it to. So I'm just going to ink that up, make sure I've got the whole thing ready, and that's going to go into the middle of this piece of paper. And there we go. So happy to celebrate you. And then I'm going to add a little stem here. I'm going to do one in the center, and then I'm going to stamp a little bit off. There we go. So that is what the inside piece looks like. Let me just so that you can see it clearly. All right, so we're set that aside, and now it's time to do the front. So I'm going to start with my leaves, and I am going to stamp this 3 times. So I'm going to be stamping it in different directions. I'm going right down So the different directions and just that outline stamp. And then I'm going to take the center part of the leaves and I'm going to ink it up, but then I'm going to stamp off because I want this to be not as dark. So I'm going to line that up over the stamps, and you can see how that fills it right in, especially when compared to the other two. I'm going to repeat that 2 more times, stamp off, and then line it up right over. This is what makes the photopolymer stamps on the clear blocks so easy to do 2-step stamping. And then I'm going to do it, stamp it one last time over the third image. There we go. So that part is done. Now I am going to take my little image that I just had. Where did I put it? This always happens to me. I'll move something and not see where I've put it. And now I'm going to start filling in the space with this image. And I'm just going to be stamping it in different directions, trying to get the white cardstock used up, not have a lot of space left. I don't need to go in the same direction. I can have them coming in upside down, sideways, however I want it to be, based on how much space I have left. Let's see, we're going to go a little over here, and then a little more over here. Okay, you're going to see that I still have some white space left. And we're going to fill that in with my speckled background. And I am going to be stamping this multiple times. So I'm going to stamp off the first time just to get that darker piece. And I am going to, actually I think I'll add some of the darker piece. I am going to just be stamping it a few times to add some different layers of color. And looks like one more space. There we go. So now I've got that all filled in, and as I look at this, I see another place I want this flower. There's just a little bit of white space I didn't notice. There we go. Okay, that takes care of all of the stamping, and I'm just going to set that aside and pick up the piece I just dropped on the floor. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, and we have all of our parts. So I'm going to start by attaching these to the piece of Boho Blue. So I'm just going to add some adhesive using the Stampin' Seal to the back of my basic white cardstock. So there's that piece. We can set that aside. And here is this piece. We can set that aside. My hello, I am going to just put it so you can see the bottom and the sides, but not cover up the whole image. So I'm not going to put any adhesive right at the top. It's not quite centered, so let me just fix that. I always want to make sure it's as centered as close as it can be, and I only left 1/8 of an inch here, so that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room. Okay, so our stamped images are done. Now let's start putting this card all together. So this piece is going to go right on the inside of the back of our cardstock. So again, I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to layer this. Isn't this blue just such a beautiful color? I tend to like my blues, so just to remind you that that's what it's going to look like. So these are going to go on the inside as well. Blues, purples, and reds are just some of my favorite colors. Not going to push that all the way down yet. I could have done this with all dots or all stripes, or I could have even gone with another color of another design of the Designer Series paper. Okay, there's all of our paper down. Now let's start doing some of the folding and burnishing. So anytime when you're making your cards, you want to put a nice burnish on your edges. But when you're making a fun fold, it's even more important to have that nice burnished edge. Especially since this card is going to have that folded over piece. Okay, so there we go. So now, when you're putting this together, here is what I want to give you for the big hint. You always want to start with this type of card. If you're going to do this fun fold with an inside panel like this, you want to start by putting the inside panel where it goes first. It is much easier to line up the outside panel with the inside panel than it is to line up the inside panel with the outside panel. So I'm going to center this as best I can. There we go. And now, when I put this on, I am only going to be adhering this side of the card right here. And so I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive . There we go. And now when I go to put this together, I am going to line up those panels as best I can. If I was going to be off, I would want it to be more over that way. But now you can see that I can see both of my panels, and when I close it, I only see that outside panel. So I'm going to take this, and I want to put this on so that my greeting or sentiment comes off of that front fold and comes over but doesn't go past. So I'm going to put adhesive over most of this, but I'm still not putting it all the way over on that right side. Okay, so now I can line this up where I'd like it to be. And that, my friends, is the end of our construction of tonight's Simply Stampin' Sunday. Isn't this a cute card? I love it. I just love this, especially that it's a fun fold too. So for this month again, we did our Boho Blue card tonight. We combined some of the colors with the copper clay and the Boho Blue. We used some of the wild wheat in this one, and then we used some of last month's supplies, and then we started it all with that very simple stamped card. So this is it for layering leaves in the month of August. Now, for some important announcements. First of all, next Sunday, I am going to take Sunday off to enjoy Labor Day weekend. So I will be here Friday night at the beginning of the weekend with my Fun Fold Friday. I've got a really fun fold. It's a zigzag fold, so I'll be showing you that on Friday night. But then I'm not going to be here for Simply Stamping Sunday. But the following Sunday, we're going to start with a new set from the mini catalog that is going to be available for purchase on September 6th. And it is the Autumn Leaves stamp set. This is such a beautiful photopolymer stamp set. It has, 3 different types of fall leaves. It has some skeleton of leaves, or you could use these as the veins in some of the leaves. This set has some beautiful sentiments. I'm thankful. Autumn teaches us that change can be beautiful, with a grateful heart, and then little tiny sentiments for all you do today and every day, to have you as a friend. So this is a wonderful set, and we are going to have a lot of fun with it during the month of September. Just not September 3rd, which is the first Sunday. We will start on September 10th, and we will be working with this set on the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. So this is our next set. I will be posting later tonight, or probably tomorrow. I'm back to work full-time at school, and so I have some things I need to do to get ready for tomorrow. So I will post this tomorrow night, all of the materials, the supplies that you will need to make the September cards. If you purchased your materials during the month of July for August, you probably have a couple or 1 or 2 of our $5 coupons, our bonus day coupons, that need to be used up by August 31st. So like I said, I will post the supplies, and you will be able to get everything you need except for the Autumn Leaves stamp set and the Designer Series paper. And the Designer Series paper that we are going to be using next month is just gorgeous. It coordinates with Cajun Craze, Copper Clay, Crushed Curry, Early Espresso, Moody Mauve, Mossy Meadow, Pretty Peacock, Pumpkin Pie, and Very Vanilla. So we'll be using our Very Vanilla cardstock. And what I want to show you is that one side of the Designer Series paper has this these beautiful fall images. So let me just turn these pages. You get 4 pieces in each pack and of that design, and then the other side has a copper enhanced design. It's so pretty. I have all but one of the designs. I did a swap and I used one of them up, but you can see the peacock background with just this gorgeous, look at that, look, going down a fall path in the woods, and then the beautiful copper clay and copper, some wooden plank like a wooden walkway or a wooden wall, and some Moody Mauve, copper enhanced. This is looking like a crow's eye view of the tops of the trees, and some mossy meadow. Okay, the next other side. I love this. Isn't this beautiful, this design? Let me just bring it up a little closer so you can see it. It's just gorgeous. And then a library bookcase, and another copper side, just a pile of leaves, and then Moody Mauve and copper on the background, a hassock, and then that beautiful design again. These beautiful branches. Like I said, it's, oh my goodness, I need a second package, so I'm using all the copper foils on a certain set of cards, and then these beautiful image on the other cards. So we will be using this as our designer series paper. I will give you the exact color combinations that you'll need. We have already, and I will give you the ink pads that we'll need, and that will be posted by tomorrow afternoon. So thank you for joining me for the Layering Leaves edition of Simply Stamping Sunday, and I hope you join me again on September 10th for the Autumn Leaves Simply Stamping Sunday. Have a great rest of the day and a great week. I hope to see you Friday night for Fun Fold Friday. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.